Today's by the way after the terrible disaster in Texas where rescue and recovery efforts are underway as we speak. Some are already turning to the big question of whether the emergency alert system that was intended to keep people safe could have done more to avert this tragedy from even happening. Now, early alerts did go out on Friday morning. It warned people about the danger of flooding. And in Kerr County, that's where a group of young girls at a Christian summer camp were swept away by floodwaters. The first flash flood warning came at about 1:14 a.m. But notices for calling for evacuation, saying get out now, didn't come until hours later, around 4 a.m. That was a flash flood emergency alert, warning that a life-threatening situation was underway. Take action now is what it said. The peak river levels in Kerr County, that county where the camp is, reached 36 feet a few hours later, 7 a.m. thereabouts. Some people in the area also told CBS News that they never received any emergency alerts on their phones, and others said the warnings they did receive never mentioned evacuating. And additional people said, look, we didn't take them seriously because we get them so frequently in this area. It didn't seem all that different from times past. To sort through all this, or to help us do so, we are joined now by Tom Fahy. He is the legislative director for the union representing the National Weather Service employees. Tom, thank you very much for joining us here. We are now several days out from the rainfall that led to this tragedy, and so people are naturally looking backwards and wondering, okay, what could we have done differently to make sure this doesn't happen? When you look at the forecast part of this, do you see areas for improvement?
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. To answer your question directly, is the forecasters did their job. There's very few times when I'll be in a position that I have to agree with the President of the United States when he spoke last night that the forecasters at the National Weather Service offices at San Angelo and San Antonio got the forecast right. The President said they did their job, and they did. Now, it is tragic, it is awful what has happened. It is just awful, the death of so many young children. You know, to your question, though, about what can we do going forward, in 1987, there was another similar incident in this same very similar area where they call Flash Flood Alley. There was this event that took place in '87 was so horrific at that time that NOAA, the parent organization of the National Weather Service, installed what they call a NOAA weather radio transmitter in Kerr County. That transmitter is there. It's still operating. It's operating today, right now. And if people had had a NOAA weather radio, which tuned to a certain frequency, they'll get it. And it does give you that emergency alert, that loud noise sound in the morning, which is your stimulus to say, okay, I've got to get up, get out of bed, and get to shelter, or move to high ground. And again, in those particular cases, NOAA weather radio does give information on the telephone screen or on the radio screen as to what the actual thing is and what your instructions are to do.
Tom, we're looking at the timeline here and just looking at the emergency that was issued at 4 o'clock. I'm curious to know, was that the earliest that the upgraded warning could have gone out? Could it have gone out sooner? I know hindsight's always 20/20.
I saw one timeline from one of the forecast stations at 3:38. I realize that's only a 20-minute difference from 4 o'clock, but in this case, minutes count. The forecasters immediately saw what they had to do and issued a catastrophic alert, which triggered, of course, the flood emergency warning. That, of course, goes out onto the WEA, the weather emergency alert. That weather emergency alert is then disseminated via our warning infrastructure system that we share with FEMA, and then it broadcasted to all the state emergency communication channels. So it is the system that we established. This goes back to 2006 into the George Walker Bush administration when they established the WARN Act, which established the Commercial Mobile Service Alert Advisory Committee, which then established at FEMA the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. And then, of course, after that, the weather emergency alerts were all integrated into a unified national system for all 50 states.
But Tom, I want to go back to this NOAA weather radio you mentioned in your first answer. We at this hour don't know any of the details of what kind of precautions or technology was in place at Camp Mystic. That'll come out, I'm sure, in the days ahead. Parents are going to want answers. But is the idea that the NOAA radio is a specialized device that would have been with anybody who has camping along the river? Or is it something you can get on any radio station?
No, it's like a portable radio. It's like a cell phone, perhaps. It's a $50 unit. It's portable. You could take them when you're hiking. There was a similar incident to this that took place in Arkansas, I want to say 20 years ago. And campers were out in the same similar circumstance, and a flash flood came in and wiped out the camp. There was, but at that particular time, after that event, there was much more scrutiny, if you will, and that's when the manufacturers of the NOAA weather radio developed a mobile unit so that hikers and campers could take it with them in the woods.
Tom Fahy.
But but to what's going on here, though, I want to come back to something important through all the discussion and everything. It really comes down to, at this particular time, in the San Angelo and San Antonio offices, yes, there were 3 management vacancies, but we had an all-hands-on-deck situation where we had a full complement, full staff of meteorologists working in those shifts. Now, what was going on with those forecasters is that they were working on overdrive. They were doing their maximum effort to keep people safe, to inform people. And that message was disseminated and it was sent out. The question was, why did it not get there? I heard that the weather alerts were received in Travis County and other adjacent counties close by.
Yes.
So the WIA alerts went out. So there was a problem in Kerr County as to why the alert did not get received by people's phones.
Well, Tom Fahy, thank you so much. We really appreciate your perspective today on this tragic event.
And I'm going to look into that NOAA weather radio. It sounds like a useful device for hikers.
We've got one. It's
really?
yeah. My radio loving uncle gave us one, and,
Wow.
and we use it. So.